The Second Amendment Foundation is turning the heat up on their lawsuit with the ATF and the Department of Justice related to the pistol brace rule, and it's phenomenal because we've already covered how worried the ATF is in other lawsuits, and this is just turning the heat up on something that's obviously unconstitutional. Before I jump into that, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that's Lear Capital. Last year was a terrible year for investors, and predictions are that 2023 will be even worse with the upcoming recession. But what did have a really impressive year this past year was gold investments. And 2023 is looking even better as some experts predict gold will be up 100% to $4,000 an ounce. If you're interested in investing in gold, I suggest you call my friends at Lear Capital. The team at Lear will provide helpful information about purchasing gold or converting part of your IRA or your 401k into a gold IRA. Not only are they the best around with over 25 years in business and thousands of 5-star reviews, but they also have a 24-hour risk-free guarantee where you can review your investment for 24 hours before committing to it. You can learn more at leargg.com or call 1-800-260-5075. So check them out again, leargg.com, 1-800-260-5075. Thanks to Lear Capital for sponsoring this video. All right, guys, like I said, Second Amendment Foundation is cranking the heat up on their lawsuit with ATF, and it's not going to be long before we have a hearing to determine whether or not the ATF gets to enforce this unconstitutional rule. Let's jump right into it. This is the first page of the amended complaint of SAF's lawsuit. You can see it's Second Amendment Foundation, Rainier Arms, Samuel Wally, and William Green, 2 individuals. And they are suing the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, Stephen Dettelbach, in his official capacity as director of the ATF, the United States Department of Justice, and Merrick Garland in his official capacity as the Attorney General of the United States of America. Quick introduction on what this lawsuit is doing. The Second Amendment Foundation, Rainier Arms, and individual plaintiffs hereby challenge President Biden's new arm brace rule, or the factoring criteria for firearms with attached stabilizing braces, as violating the Administrative Procedure Act, the Due Process Clause, and the Second Amendment. The court should hold the arm brace rule unlawful and halt it both immediately and permanently. The arm brace rule redefines federal firearm laws, rifles, and pistols distinction. This has huge implications because Congress treats rifles far more harshly than pistols. Whereas the Gun Control Act of 1968 applies to most rifles and pistols alike, with prescriptions that are plenty onerous, the National Firearms Act applies to short-barreled rifles, but not pistols, with prescriptions that are far more onerous. Given the high stakes, any rifle definition must be clear, logical, and of course, constitutional. The arm brace rule is not. Congress defined rifle with a simple provision that the Biden administration thinks is too kind to the Second Amendment. The president wants more guns deemed rifles and not pistols so that administrative enforcers can wield the more onerous NFA more often. So the president took the law into his own hands, promulgating with the arm brace rule a sweeping new rifle definition that covers far more than Congress or anyone else anticipated. With the stroke of a pen, the arm brace rule's capacious rifle redefinition turns millions of law-abiding pistol owners into law-breaking short-barrel rifle owners. Exactly how many millions of new criminals this change creates is unknown, since the arm brace rule uses a bewildering 6-factor test that no normal American can comprehend. The new rifle definition turns not on objective properties that citizens can predict, but on subjective conjecture about a firearm's likely use and the meaning of marketing materials to bureaucrats in D.C. It exceeds what Congress intended and exceeds what the Constitution allows. May 31st, 2023 is the arm brace rule's compliance date, but severe, irreparable harm is mounting already. Individuals holding what has just now been deemed a short-barreled rifle are preparing to either surrender their firearm entirely or bow to the NFA's extraordinarily onerous demands. Meanwhile, for the businesses that deal in arm braces and brace-equipped pistols, the arm brace rule is already cutting off critical streams of income, nullifying customer goodwill, and forcing compliance costs that will never be reclaimed. Now, in reading the 26-page document, it goes into things that we've already talked about ad nauseum here, so I'm not going to rehash them, like the redefinition of rifle and the Gun Control Act and the NFA, and how Biden has circumvented Congress to disarm many people and to make them felons in waiting with this new pistol brace rule. They also talk about how the agency, ATF, how their position changed dramatically, where it was okay for 10 plus years, according to them, including written letters from them. And all of a sudden, because Joe Biden wanted to circumvent Congress, they've changed their mind, thus making us all criminals in waiting. They then talk about the APA, the Administrative Procedure Act, and how ATF has violated this. What do I mean? It's a lot of gobbledygook, right? But the APA guides federal rulemaking. You've been aware of it if you've been on the channel for a while, because there's a proposed rule, people get to comment on it, and then the final rule comes out based off of not only those comments, but they are supposed to consider all relevant facts related to the rule. And that also includes the Supreme Court decision that came out in late June of last year, while this was still in consideration. And the ATF absolutely did not consider the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin decision. Otherwise, this wouldn't even be a thing. So they're trying to just rush it through, because day one was the date that it dropped. It became effective immediately. There was no 90-day grace period before the rule started, the 120-day period. It was immediate. So they're trying to rush it through, and they violated the APA in the process. Now, I will link this document down below if you want to read the whole thing. I suggest you do if you want to stay in the know about this. And also in the description of every video, there's a link to support Second Amendment Foundation. I always say support those who support you. And there are a lot of groups doing a lot of hard work and a lot of legal activity, which is expensive. So if you want to help them, whether it's not eating a large pizza this month and sending that $20-25 to one of these groups, links are down below to help you support not only SAF, but others. And this is what they're looking for from the court immediately. The requested relief: plaintiffs request a judgment in their favor as to all claims against the agencies, awarding them all relief they are entitled to. Plaintiffs request a judgment preliminarily enjoining the agency's enforcement of the arm brace rule against the plaintiffs. The plaintiffs request a judgment holding the arm brace rule as unlawful. The plaintiffs request a judgment setting aside the arm brace rule. And the plaintiffs request a judgment against the agencies that awards plaintiffs their costs, including reasonable attorney's fees. So SAF cranks up the pressure on ATF and the DOJ, guys and gals, and as each lawsuit is filed and as each response is written, it's not looking good for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or the Department of Justice in the Biden administration. I still think we get a win in at least one of these, the 6 lawsuits now. I think we get a win, and I hope we get a temporary restraining order or an injunction soon, meaning pay attention. But I will keep you up to date, guys and gals. This is big news, and this involves many of us in this community. So if you want to stay in the loop, subscribe to the channel down below. Subscribing to Guns and Gadgets will get you all the information I put out every single day, oftentimes multiple times a day. Sometimes I do 3, 4, 5 videos a day. So check back often. Don't depend on YouTube to tell you what I put out. Check the channel often. Like the video, share the video so that more people see it and it gets through the anti-gun algorithm here on YouTube. And good on SAF. And until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, and carry a gun to keep you, your friends, your family, your community safe. I'll see you all on the next one. Take care.